Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? So it looks like there's some big news brewing right now. It was just recently reported that Canelo Alvarez and Team Canelo, they are in serious negotiations with Erislandy Lara for a fight to possibly take place in July. This is really big news. This will be a huge fight. And even though this is still early negotiations and no contracts are even close to being signed yet, I still believe that there's a very good chance of this fight coming to fruition in July. And the main reason why is because they've already gotten over the biggest roadblock. The biggest roadblock was Canelo Alvarez himself, because he was the main person that wanted no part of Erislandy Lara. But now Canelo Alvarez, he has a change of heart. And in a couple more minutes, we're going to talk about why Canelo has a change of heart when it comes to this fight with Canelo Alvarez. But first things first, I want to go ahead and I want to give credit to Canelo for even negotiating and wanting to take this fight against Erislandy Lara. All right? But if I give credit to him, I got to give most of the credit to Erislandy Lara for putting in the work to force Canelo to take this fight. Erislandy Lara, he had to chase Canelo Alvarez for 2 whole years to finally get him in position to even negotiate a fight. I mean, what Lara showed is persistence pays off, right? When Lara jumped on that stage and he confronted Canelo face to face, demanding a fight, this is what made this fight possibly come to fruition. I remember after Lara confronted Canelo, you had the silly-ass Canelo fans sending messages saying, well, that's the reason why Canelo won't fight him, because you don't conduct business like that. You don't come and get in someone's face and try to make a fight, etc., right? But it doesn't make any sense, because when Erislandy Lara was sitting on his damn couch watching press conferences, watching Canelo talk about who he gonna fight and who he's not gonna fight, I mean, that got him nowhere. 2 years later, now we finally talking about a possible fight. And once again, it's because Lara put in the work that he needed to put in. Matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and read a little bit of what Canelo Alvarez said that completely corroborates me saying it's because of what Lara did that even has Canelo Alvarez considering to take this fight. And actually, it wasn't Canelo who said this. It was actually Richard Shaefer who said this. But let me go ahead and read just a little piece of what he said. This is the guy that Canelo wants to fight. He was very clear. He didn't want to hear other names. There are other names, but the only one he really wants is Lara. He feels the fans, the public, and the media feel he is afraid of fighting Lara. He said, I'm not afraid of anybody. End quote. All I can say about that is pressure busts pipes. I mean, listen to what Canelo Alvarez said. He feels that the media and the fans thinks that he is afraid of Erislandy Lara. And it was because Lara put himself in that position to expose Canelo Alvarez and put him on blast in front of the whole world to see. And you guys will often hear me bringing up this comparison to the Jack Johnson story, because a lot of stories today have a lot of similarities to the Jack Johnson story. You know, Jack Johnson, he had to chase the heavyweight champion around the world, actually, for 2 whole years before he finally got him in the ring. The heavyweight champion at the time, he had used millions and millions of excuses of why he's not going to fight Jack Johnson. But eventually, he ran out of excuses, and he had no choice but to take the fight. And then we all know he ended up getting the brakes beat off of him by Jack Johnson when they finally fought. Another similarity is Donaire versus Guillermo Rigo. Donaire, he tried to duck Rigo for as long as he could, to where eventually Rigo kept winning. And like I said before, Bob Arum had already promised Rigo that if he keeps winning, he'll get a shot at Nonito Donaire. So Donaire really had no choice but to take the fight after Rigo kept winning. Then you had Sergio Martinez versus Julio Cesar Chavez. Chavez Jr., he had been avoiding Sergio Martinez for around the same time, about 2 or 3 years. Okay? Now that was even funnier because Bob Arum, after he allowed Chavez to fight Martinez, Bob then made somewhat of a surprising admission by saying basically that he tried to keep Chavez away from Sergio Martinez as long as he could. Now, out of all of those 3 fights that I just mentioned right now, in comparison to this Lara versus Canelo situation, I want to ask you guys, what do those 3 fights have in common? You give up? Well, in all 3 of those fights, it was the guy who was pursuing his opponent. The chaser, he was the one that ended up winning the fight. Okay? Those are just a couple, facts to look at. That's not to suggest that Canelo loses this fight against Edeslani Lara. I'm not going to make a prediction right now until this fight is official. But once again, those were just some numbers to look at. So once again, I want to give credit to Canelo Alvarez. For whatever reason he decided to negotiate this fight, you got to give him credit. And of course, we got to give a whole lot of credit to Edeslani Lara. Now, even though I'm not going to do a prediction on this video right now, a couple things I want to say. Number one is, believe it or not, I believe that this fight is a 50-50 fight. And I know that's going to surprise some of the Canelo fans because, some of these Canelo fans, they just automatically assume a lot of shit. You assume just because I'm saying that Canelo needs to fight Lara, that for whatever reason just automatically means I'm telling you guys that Edeslani Lara is going to, easily dispose of Canelo Alvarez. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what we are saying as the public. All I've ever said is that Canelo Alvarez, he needs to fight this man Edeslani Lara. There is no way you're going to be fighting in a division and you're afraid to fight for the title when the champion is actually offering you a title bout. Okay? That's all that I was saying. But I truly believe that this fight is somewhat of a 50-50 fight, and it's because both fighters have a lot of talent, but both fighters also have a couple of flaws. And it'll be interesting to see who will be able to capitalize off of the other fighter's flaws. And another thing I want to say about this fight is this fight, if it happens, it is going to tell us a lot about both of these fighters. I mean, we already know we have a lot of the casual fans that's already accusing Floyd Mayweather of ducking Edeslani Lara. He's afraid of Lara. He's this and he's that. So this fight right here is going to give us a little bit of a barometer and let us know how good Edeslani Lara really is. Because if Lara goes in this fight with Canelo Alvarez and he gets destroyed by Canelo Alvarez, what does that tell you about Lara versus Floyd Mayweather? Okay? And furthermore, what does it tell you about Floyd Mayweather? Because if that happens, let's not forget, Floyd Mayweather, he disposed of Canelo Alvarez very easy. And then on the other hand, what if Edeslani Lara disposes of Canelo very easy? I think then we could start to entertain a fight between Mayweather and Edeslani Lara, which would then be considered somewhat of a super bout. Now, I understand that Floyd Mayweather is not even a big welterweight, and when he fought against Canelo Alvarez, he actually woke up the day of the fight at 146 pounds, while Canelo, on the other hand, he was 165 plus or something like that the night of the fight. So obviously Floyd Mayweather is not a big welterweight, and I'm not really sure if he would get in the ring with someone like Edeslani Lara, who would most likely outweigh Floyd Mayweather by 15 to 20 pounds, and you have to incorporate the style that he has as well. So I don't know, obviously Floyd Mayweather is driven by money, and that type of win for Lara, if Lara were to beat Canelo, would make a fight against Floyd Mayweather that much bigger. The fight would be huge. And what people have to understand is the reason why so many people are tuning in to Floyd is because the majority of them want to see him lose. This is exactly what Muhammad Ali went through. And this is the reason why that fight would be big, because you would have a lot of people thinking that this is exactly what we need. If we have a guy who's 20 pounds bigger than Floyd Mayweather, 10, 15 years younger or whatever it is, right? Well, he's not that much younger, but you get the point that I'm making. A guy who has some type of physical advantages over Floyd Mayweather, this is the kind of guy that we need to take this guy out or have a better chance. That's how people are looking at it. So that's the reason why that fight will be huge, because a lot of people are going to believe that Lara would have a chance of beating Floyd Mayweather. Now, like I said, I don't know if that fight will take place because of the size disparity, but we'll see. Before we even go that far, of course, we got to get the contract signed when it comes to this Canelo versus Lara fight, right? We're going a little too far. So let's see if this fight becomes official. I'll keep following this story. And just real quick, another little small obstacle that both teams are going to have to get past is the fact that Lara already has a fight scheduled against Shaefer Smith. Now, what Richard Shaefer is saying, because of Canelo's bad luck on choosing opponents in the past, they don't want to take any chances with Lara possibly getting in the ring, losing, or even getting injured in the Shaefer Smith fight. So they want Lara to opt out of that fight so they could be guaranteed that he makes the date for Canelo Alvarez. So that's pretty much all I got to say on this one, guys. I'm going to keep following the story, and I'm on to the next one.